The hidden cost of comfort. Imagine two neighbors, Jane and Janet. Every morning, at exactly 6 a.m., Jane's alarm rings. She doesn't always feel like getting out of bed. Some mornings she's tired but forces herself out of bed. She puts on worn-out trainers, steps into the cold morning air, and leaves for a run. Now meet Janet. She lives just across the street. Her alarm rings at exactly the same time. She opens one eye, looks at the clock, smiles to herself, and whispers, "Just a few more minutes." It doesn't feel like a life-changing decision. In fact, it feels harmless. Just a few more minutes. What's the worst that could happen? Now fast forward 10 years later. Jane is healthier, more energetic. She built a business on the side. She has choices. She travels. She decides what her mornings look like. Janet? She's constantly exhausted. She's still saying she'll start when life becomes less busy. She's still waiting for the perfect time. And here's the strange part. Neither of them made one dramatic decision that changed everything. Their futures were quietly built by just one ordinary decision at a time. And that's what makes comfort so dangerous. It almost never destroys your future overnight. It quietly convinces you to postpone the future you actually want. Comfort never looks like the enemy. Let me ask you something. Think about the last important decision you delayed. Was it really because you needed more time? Or because staying exactly where you were simply felt more comfortable? Our brains are fascinating. For thousands of years, comfort meant survival. Finding food, finding shelter, avoiding danger. Choosing the safer path kept our ancestors alive. The problem is, the world changed. Our brains didn't. Today, the greatest dangers rarely look dangerous. They're disguised as comfort. Another hour of scrolling. Another evening saying, "I'll start tomorrow." Another month waiting until you feel ready. Comfort has become incredibly sophisticated. It doesn't tell you to give up. It simply whispers, "Not today." And because tomorrow always exists, we believe we'll eventually begin. But tomorrow has a habit of becoming next year. There's a quote often attributed to Neil Donald Walsh. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Most people hear that as motivation. I hear it as a warning. Because everything we say we want, better health, financial freedom, a successful business, greater confidence, usually sits just beyond a decision that feels uncomfortable today. Let's give this invisible force a name. I call it the comfort tax. Unlike the taxes that appear on your payslip, you'll never receive a bill. Instead, life quietly deducts it from your future. Watch Jane and Janet again. Jane decides to upload her first YouTube video. It's awkward. She stumbles over her words. Almost nobody watches. Someone even leaves a comment saying, "Maybe this isn't for you." She feels embarrassed. She thinks about quitting. But she uploads another, and another, and another. Now look at Janet. She wants to start too. But she tells herself she needs a better camera, better lighting, more confidence, a better content calendar, a better plan. 6 months later, Jane has improved because she was willing to look inexperienced. Janet is still preparing to begin. Here's the painful truth. Janet wasn't lazy. She was simply paying the comfort tax. It feels small while you're paying for it. But over time, the interest becomes enormous. Because every month spent preparing is a month spent not growing. Have you noticed something? The decisions that shape your future almost never feel important in the moment. Skipping one workout doesn't seem expensive. Watching another episode doesn't seem expensive. Ignoring that business idea doesn't seem expensive. Avoiding one difficult conversation doesn't seem expensive. But here's the trick. You're not avoiding the cost. You're postponing it. Imagine 2 tiny gardens. Jane waters hers every morning. It isn't exciting. Most days, nothing seems to happen. Janet looks over the fence and thinks, "I'll start watering mine tomorrow." Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Months later, one garden is full of flowers. The other is overgrown with weeds. Neither garden changed overnight. Both simply reflected the small decisions made every day. Your future works exactly the same way. Whether you realize it or not, you're planting something. Every single day. Here's something I've noticed. Almost every success story begins with an uncomfortable moment. Someone asks for the promotion. Someone starts the business. Someone invests when everyone else is afraid. Someone publishes the first video that only 12 people watch. Every meaningful change begins the same way, with uncertainty. And that's exactly why most people never experience it. Because comfort asks for nothing. Growth asks for courage. Think about Jane again. Do you think she woke up every morning feeling motivated? Probably not. She simply became the kind of person who acted before she felt ready. That's the difference. Comfort waits for feelings. Growth creates them. Confidence rarely arrives before action. It usually arrives because of action. Here's the greatest irony of all. The people who spend their lives chasing comfort often end up with the fewest choices. Because comfort delayed the skills they needed, the opportunities they could have created, the freedom they hoped to have. Meanwhile, the people willing to embrace temporary discomfort often build lives that become comfortable later. So let me leave you with one final question. If your life looked exactly the same 5 years from now, which comfortable decisions you make today would be responsible? Maybe the hidden cost of comfort isn't the comfort itself. Maybe it's everything comfort quietly persuades you to postpone. Remember Jane and Janet. Their lives weren't separated by talent, or intelligence, or luck. They were separated by thousands of tiny decisions that, at the time, felt completely ordinary. Because comfort is a wonderful place to rest. But it's one of the most dangerous places to build your future. The life you want isn't hiding behind a miracle. It's hiding behind a decision your brain keeps asking you to delay. And every time you choose purposeful discomfort over temporary ease, you're not making your life harder. You're buying something far more valuable. Freedom.